So welcome back to part 4, the much promised destruction phase. But I just want to add two more things before we do start that. I want to add a trapdoor on the roof because otherwise it doesn't make sense unless there was a ladder on the back here on the outside before this wall was destroyed. But that wouldn't make sense either because then attackers could get up the ladder. So trapdoor inside, ladder inside. So we're just going to make a trapdoor, and we can actually just use the door here, or just shorten down the door, and it can have the same hinges and everything. Right, so I decided to add an interjection here. Obviously this is the newer tutorial, and I'm just splicing this new part into the old part, if you know what I mean. So I'm sure you can tell obviously from the different design to the other one, but the door's more or less the same. But I'm just interjecting here to redo the trapdoor section of the video. It's more or less going to be the same, but I'll just do it now because this trapdoor has these indentations I was talking about around all the rivets. And I might just redesign a little bit. Before I just had this sitting on top of the roof. Just basically this shrank down and not as long, more square and just flattened. But I was thinking there, I'd rather probably have it in an inset and then shape it to that inset. So if I just select the roof section here on the carve tool and turn that off. This is slightly rounded, so I'll keep the same. Maybe the trapdoor. Let's see what size is it here. So yeah, a bloke will be able to fit through there. So I'll keep maybe that size, maybe a tiny bit bigger. Oh. Right, so that's turn off that line. Sometimes that joystick can be really fiddly for scaling up and down. You can change that in the settings, I do believe, in the VR settings. Smoothness and dead zone. Where is it? Allow. Maybe I can't remember. Platform settings. No. I thought it was. Maybe here. I was sure it was in the VR settings because it's obviously. Here, yeah. Scale and sensitivity with thumbstick. So if I turn that down a bit. No, it's probably the other way around. Yeah, sorry. Oh no, hang on. Let's see how easy it is to do here. You can kind of these thumbsticks are a bit weird. So now it'll be way too much. See, you have to go up with these thumbsticks. You have to go to a certain point, and then it starts to move. It doesn't really have. They have pretty bad control. These Quest controllers on the thumbstick. That seems to be better. Anyway, it doesn't go down. The increments aren't as big. So let's say I only need to go down a small bit here. And that's that door coming through again, I think, is it? Okay, what's going on there? That is the door, I'd say. Yeah, so you only need to go down a small bit. It's just going to be enough to give me a sort of a panel line around it. Same thing again for the so clone in place. Same thing again for the I was talking about the ink. So now I will set that, rotate it 90 degrees. And I probably should have made that. I'm going to make this square so I can set it into place. And we're pretty much going to just use the same, just to give us that inset there. I'm pretty much going to use the very same, the move brush technique just to get it into place. And what I think I'll also do is, I can just move that down. So if I take these, this, and this, I believe that's all of them, except for that. Please give us that. And then, as I said before, the last select is the active object, and it'll inherit it'll use the origin, translation, position, and all the rest of that last selected. So I'll move that down. As I move this while I'm here, move that down. And sorry, select that one as the last one. You know, you could completely redesign this, but it wouldn't really make much sense either from a realistic point of view, because they're just gonna have the same design as they have on the doors. You know, it wouldn't really make much sense to radically change it for a utilitarian military building. So yeah, let me see. I'll get this down first, and then it doesn't matter about the rest. I can just trim that. Back to move. And we're already set up here. We got the line constraint turned on. And then we just grab that, move her on in, and that's not too bad, maybe a bit. I'll move this piece in first, just so we can see what's going on. Sorry, I'm in the wrong place there. The line. I can't even see what the hell's going on there with that terrible shading. No, wrong way. The line thing again. I cannot see what's happening. So I'm gonna have to hide this because I can't see what's going on there. Right, so I might as well move this into place as well while I'm here. Move it inside the hinge. And then this. Look, it's just going to be easier to just trim this. And then just use the 45. It's kind of hard to see anyway with the shading where that's going to. It looks like that missed a bit here. Back to the move off it. It's not a big deal. I can just turn all that stuff off. Where spikes, wherever they came from. That's not too bad, I suppose. I'll probably just get a move back to move elastic, ball off up, and I'll just voxel remesh that, just so. Voxel remesh. Let's see where it goes. Too much. Way too much. Too little. Yeah, as I say, it depends how much damage you're going to put on. How much damage, what fidelity of damage. If you're going to be going right down to the texture level, you're going to obviously want more, and you'll see that as the video progresses after this interjection. No harm to just move that up a bit there, move that in a bit. Are these still, don't think, yeah, they're still parented, obviously. Move it in. That's fine for the trapdoor. Yeah, so I'm going to have to stretch these out this way, or else you could just move this in, and you can do the same with the move. Even though this is, a finished piece like this, you can still, and it's on the inside here, you can still use that same technique, default snapping line, turn that back to 90. You can still use this technique here, and then when we voxel remesh that, it'll be all good. So we probably, I could have went a bit deeper with that there, the recess, but it's not going to matter when it's all painted up and everything. And yeah, I think that maybe looks a bit better than the other one that I did with the inset and the floor. I'll just get rid of that so it doesn't have that wobbling. Yeah, okay. Well, that's fine, I think. And then I'll just continue back with the video now with the older part with the different looking design. Right, so now we'll make the spikes. I'm just going to make spikes. That was the other thing I wanted to do. I'll probably just put them around here along this parapet here. Nothing too fancy. Create. Let me see. I'll just grab a box. Reset the settings. Reset these settings. Stress it out, and then what I'm going to do here is you'll see now. I'm just going to maybe that size. I'm just going to chop it with the carve. Turn off snapping. Maybe put it on. That's on 15. It's kind of weird the way it jumps around. No, it's going on 2 axes, so you can restrict it, but it should be okay. So I will maybe bring it down a bit. Turn that off. Rotate it up. And then with the move, bring it in, make sure snapping is on. Okay, that's grand. And then I'll chop another bit off here. Back to the carve. Oops. So don't really like that. I'll keep that straight. And then I'll do a bit of sculpting on it. Turn these off. Turn this on. Just the X. Put this back up. And maybe give it a voxel remesh. What have we got here? Voxel remesh. Okay, that's good enough. And then I'm going to just, maybe don't want X. X is not local there. It's going to be Z. I'm just going to use right, that's happening again because I have an alpha on again. Oh no, sorry, it was on the clay brush there. Weird. So elastic, fall off. Put the strength up. Maybe make that into more of a spike. Bring it back, bring it in a bit. Put a bit of a curve on it there, maybe. Right, that looks maybe a bit better as a spike. And just want to make sure that for printing that it's going to print up. And I don't know, maybe it's a bit too orky now. Yeah, maybe it's a bit too much like an orc kind of a fort. So maybe I will, instead of doing, I think it's too orky like that. So what I will do is, now I should really be just doing this freehand. Instead of the snapping on, I'm just going to make it like this. I think that's a bit more non-orky. And then before I start, I'll just trim these wireframe off. Yeah, just before I start copying them, cloning them. Let me see what's maybe a bit higher res. So yeah, it's only 7,000. It's tiny. 29. Yeah, that should be okay. Make it a bit smaller. Maybe I'll just leave that sticking out. Yeah, I think I prefer that. Yeah, I think I prefer that. So we can always just get rid of them if we don't like them. It's just an extra thing we can add. So clone, 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 and close to the edge. Clone. Get this into place over here. They're not exactly an amazing deterrent or anything for people trying to get over the wall, but just adds a little bit more interest. I think right now we will select these, join them, and symmetry on the Z, going the other way, and also global. And same thing with these. 1, 2. In a second. What happened there? Why did that disappear? Okay, oh yeah, that's that weird thing I was talking about. See that was selected. So I'm gonna have to go back. As I said in the last video, if you paint select and you don't deselect before that, see that one was selected there when I started selecting them. So you have to make sure you deselect before you start paint selecting. So that's what happened there. Join and try that again. Deselect. Get rid of that for a second so I can see. Join, and now across the X. Apply. Yeah, okay, that's not too bad now. I think that looks okay. It's not over the top orky. Yeah, it's better, kind of more stumpy suits. Right, so that is it now. I'm gonna definitely start the damage now. So I'm gonna begin on the floor here and give that a quick see where we're at here with the. So it's very high. I'm gonna lower it first, and then I'll build up some of the larger forms, and then we're losing it on the corner there. So I'll actually stick with that because it's quite thin. And turn off symmetry and clay brush, and maybe we can select one of these and just start building up a bit of form, and turn off or edit from faces only. So I'll just make sure that's not sculpting underneath. Turn up the strength, and then just give the ground. It's sort of coming through there with the volumetrics of the brush. But so what I will probably do there, which would make more sense, just to help with the sculpting, I'm going to just thicken it up, and then we can always at the end you can just trim the bottom off. just to make it a bit easier for sculpting so that doesn't happen. I'll just start building up the ground. And I'm just keeping back from the very edge here. And this is, yeah, it's just to add some noise, just to add a bit of interest. A bit of up and down. This will be textured then later on. And to sort of break up the perfect line, the perfect CG line there that I was talking about earlier. Okay, so that's a start on that. And I'm going to start with this just to give an example of the and I might actually make that a bit chunkier. I'll make that a bit chunkier. And first thing I like to do then, kind of a process, going through one at a time. So first thing I like to do is just rough all the edges up with the trim dynamic. It's a sort of a standard rock sort of stone sculpting, metal sculpting, whatever, just to get rid of those horrible sharp CG edges. And the trim brush, sort of like Trim Dynamic and ZBrush, but yeah, it's a bit weird because you have to put the strength up high or it gets too soft. And then I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, it's not quite up to. It's decent enough. You can get decent enough results, and it's good enough for what we're doing here as well. So another thing you can do is you can create sort of a double layer for breaking up concrete. And what I mean by that is you can clone in place and then scale out and then break the first one, and then it'll chip through so it look like a layer, like an outer layer breaking into the second. I'll show it here. Can do it with anything here, but maybe I'll do it with one of the pieces anyway, and then you don't have to do it on all of them, or not at all. It's just another technique you can use. So yeah, we're starting with this, and I'm going to, at the moment it's only 10,000, so I'll bring that up more even. And obviously now the more of these you start doing, your poly count's going to go way up. At the moment it's 6 million, and I found that at around 20 million, some things can start to slow down a bit in Shapelab. When you open up this list, for example, it's sort of, there's a pause. It still works. You can still work away, but we'll see what happens anyway. I'll keep going and see how high we go. So 300 there. That's for both sides. That is going to be getting destroyed. So on that side, or I wasn't, sorry, it was this back side. Doesn't really matter, but so I'll start with this side anyway, beside where our bloke is standing. And yeah, first things first, I'm going to go with the trim. Turn off symmetry and turn off wireframe, and make it kind of small. And then I can just wear away the edges, just kind of generic wear. This is sort of just whatever way you want to do it, but there's going to be way more wear on this. And then I also kind of like to maybe rough up the surface so it's not perfectly flat. And you can also use the move for this. And if the line here, this is the type of thing you want to break up that line so that it's not perfectly straight, like those perfectly straight CG lines you're talking about. So even that there, like that slight waver looks, and on the ground here, it looks a lot better than just a dead straight line like that. Look, a dead straight line, it just looks terrible. So even a tiny bit of a break in the line even helps. So this is pretty much going to be a rinse and repeat thing. So I might do that first, and then rough it up sufficiently. You can also use the clay brush here on low strength and just add a little bit. Take it away, and then that'll kind of that'll add to break that surface up as well. That'll help to break the surface up as well. Give you that little extra bit. Especially for whatever, for painting. If you These terrain pieces are often dry brushed, and then even for rendering, if you're not doing printing stuff, all of this helps with reflections. Any sort of little movement, it all helps. It all adds up to the final result. So yeah, you can add some of that as well. I always give a pass at that sort of stuff. So standard brush, this will be the main kind of, or actually before standard brush, stamp. And what I have here is, these are all rocks from my own library that I've just added. I've added all these in here. They're all quite simple, small, some of them more stylized than others. And then I just use these as sort of booleans to break up the corners here, like that. So it gives you a nice kind of quite a convincing breakup. But before I do that, I'm going to show you what I mean by, if I grab this and yeah, so this mirror and well thing, I'm going to, before we do that, actually, I'm going to, where am I going? I'm going to just get rid of that back side, and then I can copy it later on if I need to, because when I scale that, it's going to scale it weird because it's mirror and welded. And I'm also going to reapply that. And now if I grab the scale button and then just hit the clone button, I'll go inwards actually. And now if I select our stamp, back to that rock I had, now when I break that corner up, I'm going to see the other one inside. So it depends what style you prefer. Like you can break that corner up, break that edge, and then go into this one and then break that as well, just to give you an extra layer of detail, depending on what look you prefer. So yeah, I think I'll go with that. And then, depending on what library of rocks you have, yeah, will give you different results. No, it doesn't. You can just kind of look for your details, small, medium, and large, and that's not too bad there. Maybe break that one up inside. It kind of gets rid of our layer because that's so small. So I might leave that and just put some texture on that instead. And you can do some dings on the side here as well. Now that does not seem to be, sometimes that was happening to me before. They kind of look weird, so I could probably select a different rock piece, turn that around, and give us some kind of pitted results. And as I was saying, like maybe not overdoing it as well is kind of the key as well, so that it doesn't look like, even that, I don't like that. It's like that again, it's not working weirdly. Yeah, I don't know why that happens. Sometimes it seems to happen where the stamp just doesn't work. Right, I'm not really liking that. I'm going to move on anyway because this, it's more to just give you an idea, and then I'll keep working up. So after doing that, then I'll switch over to the standard brush, and I'll select one of these textures. These are just a lot of textures I've imported. Some of them I'll be using are there's ones that are here in the default kind of alpha set, but these ones here I've imported all of these. So you can see here that's quite low res. So what I might want to do there to get more of that texture is I'll just turn on wireframe, and yeah, look, because I've taken out that boolean, quite low res. So what I will do is I'll switch to the regularize tool and switch this to maybe relative, bring that small, and then I'll get more detail, maybe smaller. Smaller again, just so I don't have to give this res all over the object. Maybe there as well. And yeah, that's pretty good. Can't really see much of that. Maybe some of this. And now if I go back to standard brush, and that's turned off, I want to actually turn this as well to stamp, bring up the strength, and turn off the wireframe. And I'd probably even go higher, but there's not really any need to. I'm just trying to expose in the concrete there. When you break off the concrete, you're going to see the gravel and everything inside. So like, remember, it's going to be printed, so we're going to be seeing it from way back here. So I'd probably even maybe make the detail bigger so that it reads a bit better then, you know. And same there. And then the beauty of that then as well is with the casing on the outside. Otherwise you might, because you're bringing this up big, you have to mask around. So that works out pretty good there. And then at the end, you can just boolean these together into one, so the poly count goes way down. So at the moment, that's still looking a bit bland. So what I would do is voxel remesh that again to clear those what's that, a 5? Yeah, that's okay, just to clear that bad geometry there. And then I can use a different, maybe destroyed wall. See what this one looks like. And the strength is up. Yeah, that looks okay for concrete. I could go higher res here. What's it look like going in? I could go higher res just to give it a bit more, but not too bad. You can also increase the strength in the stroke strength multiplier. So I think I'll leave that piece. These corners are a bit too big. I might tighten them up a little bit with the pinch. That's a bit too. Yeah, that's not too bad there. And I'll leave these. I won't go over these with the trim dynamic. I'll just leave it to that to the larger corners. Maybe tighten them up a bit. And that's pretty much it then. I'll do these next maybe. I think I will join all these together. So join selected, and then see what this gives us. Right, so that's way too low. And as I said, to save polys as well, you could just do two of these individually and then copy them around to the opposite side so you can't see them. But for the purposes of this here, I'm just going to do them all individually. It just means a higher poly count. So another quick interjection, and no, this is not a. Here's one we made earlier, pulled out of the oven. But what I've decided to do is, this was where the file ended up at the very end, and then I had recorded all this from the last bit of the video you just watched with this the flying buttress part, and then I recorded all the rest of this, and then I lost it all. So I hadn't finished it all. Like I was still going to do some more, mainly concentrated on the back here, and just showed all the various different techniques and ways to do it. So yeah, you can see like the contrast here, to decide, which would you prefer, kind of what look. So yeah, so what I'm gonna do, I've decided now, I'm just I'm just gonna do it again. I'm gonna take this part that we've done here, um in the last part of the video. I think is that doubled up? Yeah. I'm gonna take this, bring it into the other scene, and we've already made these, so I'll take these in as well. And I'm gonna just do it all again from scratch, do all this damage, um, especially this part here, the kind of centerpiece of it. And I'll leave this video here at the end of this. I'll start fresh from another video, part 4, and I'll just, as I said, take these two into the scene, and then we'll start from there, do the base, do the damage, do this the rooftop slab, and whatever else, and the my favorite, the rebar. So yeah, we'll leave it here for this video, and when we come back then, I'll start again from the start with the new design as well. You can see here the design is excuse me, I upgraded it in the newer video, so yeah, it's a bit different. So we'll just start again from scratch, and we leave that one here. All right then, cheers, thanks, good luck.